Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're diving straight into a brand new explainer, Beyond the Bin, the global legacy of plastic. You know, we interact with this stuff literally every single day, right? But the journey it takes from its hidden origins deep underground to its massive footprint on our planet, it's actually a pretty wild and complex cycle. So let's unpack this secret life of plastic together and figure out exactly why the choices we make about it absolutely change our planet.
So let me ask you something. What actually happens to a plastic bottle after you throw it away? It's such a simple, everyday habit. You finish your drink, toss the bottle in the bin, and boom, you walk away. For most of us, it's totally out of sight, out of mind. You kind of just assume its journey ends right there in the trash, right? But the reality? The trash can is definitely not the finish line. In fact, the exact second you let it go is usually just the kickoff to a massive, globe-spanning journey.
Okay, let's start right at the beginning. Section 1, the birth of plastic. Now, plastic begins its life far, far away from our hands. It actually starts as ancient oil and natural gas buried deep, deep beneath the Earth's surface. We extract those fossil fuels, chemically transform them into literally millions of tiny little plastic pellets, and then finally melt and mold those pellets into the items we see every day. It is an incredibly fast, dramatic leap from ancient subterranean sludge to that finished product right there in your hand.
And you know, we go through all that intense extraction for one simple reason. Plastic is an absolute engineering marvel. Just think about all those everyday items we rely on. Water bottles, grocery bags, toys, food containers. We literally couldn't live our modern lives without them because the material is just so lightweight, incredibly durable, and inexpensive. It's cheap to make, tough to break, and super light to carry around. It really is a game changer for convenience.
But that brings us to our next chapter, Section 2, the durability dilemma.
Here's the catch. When you toss an apple core or, say, a piece of paper into the dirt, nature knows exactly what to do with it. It naturally decomposes and just seamlessly blends right back into the earth. But plastic? Yeah, it's a completely different story. That amazing durability that makes it so incredibly useful for us, the fact that it's just so tough to break, well, it means it sticks around in our environment for hundreds of years, way, way past its extremely brief, useful life. Which leads us straight into Section 3, the microplastic reality. Now, this is the really crucial point. When we say plastic takes hundreds of years to break down, we absolutely do not mean it magically vanishes into thin air. It doesn't completely disappear at all, actually. Over centuries, it basically just splinters and fragments into these tiny particles we call microplastics. So sure, that original bottle might be totally gone from view, but the actual material, it's still there, just hiding in this microscopic, fragmented form.
And because they never truly disappear, these microscopic particles just spread everywhere. It's kind of mind-blowing. They've been found in our oceans, our rivers, just floating in the air we breathe, and yep, even inside the human body. Think about that for a second. This stuff started deep underground as oil, got molded into a bottle, tossed in a bin, fractured over centuries, and has now totally infiltrated not just nature, but us.
Right now, we're essentially living in the middle of a massive global experiment. Scientists are continuously studying exactly how these microplastics are affecting our health and the broader environment. And look, we don't have all the exact answers yet on the long-term impacts, but one thing is absolutely crystal clear. Microplastics are an undeniable reality, and they are now found almost everywhere on Earth.
All right, let's pivot a bit here. Section 4, the power to choose.
Okay, take a breath because here's the good news. Plastic absolutely does not have to become pollution. We aren't just sitting around as passive observers in some grim timeline. We actually have the power to step in and intercept this whole process.
So, how do we do that? First off, we intercept it by reducing single-use plastics right at the source. And of course, reusing products to really take advantage of that crazy durability we talked about. I mean, if it's tough, make it last. But, and here's the real focal point of our explainer today, the absolute cornerstone of how we change our planet's future is recycling. When you actually choose to recycle, you are literally pulling that material out of the environment. You're hitting the brakes on the creation of those microplastics. It's pretty amazing how one daily choice completely disrupts a centuries-long geological legacy.
It all comes down to this core idea. We have to give plastic a second life instead of letting it end up in nature. Honestly, recycling isn't just some boring, mundane household chore. Think of it like a critical plot twist in the story of plastic. By capturing and molding this incredibly durable material all over again, we are entirely rerouting its destiny. We're actively keeping it out of our oceans and away from our precious ecosystems.
So the next time you pick up a plastic bottle, a toy, or a food container, take a second to remember where it came from, and more importantly, the legacy it could leave behind. The story simply does not end when you throw it away. Every single time we choose to reduce, reuse, or recycle, we are making a definitive, powerful choice about the kind of planet we're going to leave for the future. So what kind of legacy will your choices shape? Thanks so much for hanging out with me for this explainer. Keep asking those big questions, and I'll catch you on the next one.